All right, I am going to show you how we can paint a loose watercolor field of wildflowers, and I have some Fluid 100 watercolor paper. This is 100% cotton. It is a block, so it's this brand glues down on 2 sides. There's other ones that have all 4 sides with just a little slit, just different brands. I do recommend using a block or taping down your paper on all 4 sides for doing this because we will be getting quite a bit of water on our paper. I've got 2 jars of water here, one for cleaning my brush and one for clean water. I've got a plate that I use for a palette. This is a ceramic plate, and I have some Daniel Smith watercolors in a variety of colors that I like. So whatever you have for paints, use whatever you like. I'm going to be using a Princeton Neptune round 8 for the majority of this, and possibly a round 4, but I will let you know if I use some other brushes. And then I have a towel here off to the side for drying my brush off. So that is just our general supplies, and we're going to go ahead and start painting this loose field of wildflowers. So I'm going to start out by putting in some kind of cone flowers. So I want to get kind of a golden color for the top. So I've got, this is a Quinacridone deep gold. You could use like a burnt sienna or mix a yellow with a brown to give yourself a nice little golden color. And I'm just going to pick some random spots and make some little almost like gumdrop shapes for the cones that are at the top of those flowers. And I'm just kind of randomly picking a few spots for those to go. And making some of them smaller and some bigger. And I like to do an odd number of flowers, either do a pair, like 2, or go 3 and 5. I just feel like that looks a little nicer because I feel like if you do 4, it just looks a little odd, that even number like that. So, all right, I'm gonna let that dry here, and then I'm gonna make some other little flowers around it. So those cone flowers are gonna be kind of a red violet color, and I think I want to do some yellow and some blue flowers in here. So let's see, maybe like a big delphinium coming this way would be really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and start that off with some sap green. And I'm going to draw the stem that I can build my flowers off of. So a delphinium, I'm just going to make a big long stem going up and make a few little dabs up here because that'll be the top. And then those leaves are almost like a big star shape. So I'm just going to make like some 5 pointed leaves here. And I'm just doing this really loosely. I don't want this to be a very kind of botanical illustration where I'm doing every little detail of these plants. So here, let's see. And you know what? I think I might have another one coming this way that's just coming off of that side there. So all right, so I just added a few little leaves in here, and this is all going to be really filled in by the time we're done. So these are just the big things I wanted to add in. So these delphiniums, I want this to be like a very violet-y blue, I guess. So I'm going to mix together a little bit of ultramarine, and I have some Carbazole violet. Give myself a nice kind of blue violet color, but I want that to be more on the blue side. So all right, so these, I'm going to start up at the top and just make some dabs to fill in around those green. Those are like the little buds up here that aren't blooming yet. And then for my flowers, I'm just going to make some little star-shaped flowers here. So just like 5 petals going across in a star shape. And then as they go down, they get bigger. And you can have some that would kind of be coming from behind. Add a couple more in there. Okay. I'm gonna go back over to my little cone flowers here, and I want to make kind of a red violet color. I have just some of this Quinacridone rose. So just any kind of that magenta pink color you could mix. And I'm gonna add some of that ultramarine to that. And get myself a nice red violet here. And I'm just gonna add a little bit more water just to make that a lighter color. Just dilute it a little bit. And I'm gonna start out with very light pressure, and I'm gonna come down and then apply more pressure and then release to make a nice fine point at the bottom. And we're just gonna come out from that cone like so. And as you get out to the sides, you want to make some smaller petals. So they'd be longest down at the bottom and then shorter as you go around. And if you want to add a few small little petals, just make like almost little dabs coming out from the top here, because we wouldn't see that backside of the petals as much on the flower. I do have another video on my channel, just how to paint a cone flower if you're interested in just painting those particular flowers. I'm just going back to every little gumdrop shape that I painted initially in that gold. I'm just gonna add in some petals. All right, I think I want to do some yellow flowers. I've got a lemon yellow here. Oh, I'm getting a little contaminated here with some pink. I'm running out of good spots here. All right, so that had a little bit of a darker yellow kind of mixed with it, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna do kind of maybe like a peony type flower here. So I'm just gonna make kind of an oval shape and then make some simple strokes around it. I'll do a few of these so you can kind of see. There's kind of hard to describe how I'm doing that. So kind of having my brush go on its side to make kind of a circle, and then with lighter pressure, come around from that bottom and come up. And then I'm gonna leave a white space right above that, and then come back with a stroke going this way. And I'm kind of holding my brush at an angle. So then I can go back and add some upward strokes here. Kind of, it almost is like a circle, but I've got these white spaces in there to show where petals would be. And then you can add just a few little strokes, and these would be the side view of some petals that would be coming from this way. I'll just kind of make a couple more of those here and there. And 3 would be good. All right, I'm gonna do some blue flowers. I'm gonna take that ultramarine that I've got. Maybe make some kind of almost like a bachelor button maybe. And they've got these kind of like spiky looking petals. And then we'll go back in, we'll add like a little center to that after that's a little more dry. I'm just gonna kind of put some of these little spiky looking petals, and I'm just doing a few like that. So it's almost like a little triangle shape, but then instead of being solid on one side, it just comes out with those little spikes. I'm just kind of leaving a gap between the little petals. I'm going in kind of like an oval. And I'll do another one down here maybe. All right, I think I want to put maybe a little bit more of this purple, but a darker purple maybe in there. I think before I add any more flowers in, I'm going to add some of the greenery back in here just so that I can figure out where my spacing is going to be. I'm going to use some of this deep sap green just to give myself some variation in my greens. So if you don't have a lot of greens in your palette and you have more of a primary palette, you can add more yellow or more green, more blue to make some different shades of green and give yourself some variation. But I just really like mixing up the greens and not using the same green for the entire piece. I think it adds a little more dimension to it. So if you want to kind of switch back and forth between your green shades. All right, to do kind of like a side view leaf here, I'm going to start going upward with the tip of my brush, and then when I go down, I'll apply my pressure. So then I can have a leaf that kind of goes downward, and it looks a little more natural than like when you're drawing and you make that traditional leaf shape that all just comes upward. That's just a nice little way to make a different shape of a leaf. So you'll, let me get a little more of that regular sap green. When you're making your stems, you don't need to have everything like touch up to the flower. You can have some space there too. I'm just going down. And even my stems aren't even like completely solid. I just wanted to add in foliage here. Make this really full. And you can have some other just like leaf pieces coming up. I think just don't leave a flower hanging out up here without anything connecting to it. So if you don't quite get all of the stems and things, and just don't leave the flower just kind of hanging out in space. Whoa, sorry about that. Got a little shaking on my camera here. Just getting some different greens out here just to give this a little more depth. These ones I can do some really spiky leaves maybe. Just make some more like grass type blades here at the bottom, just kind of fill that in. Because usually when you have flowers, they're not just flowers. There's lots of grasses and leaves and buds and things that aren't all necessarily have flowers on them. So we can just add lots of like just quick strokes going up and down just to kind of fill that in. That's looking really pretty. All right, I really like that blue in there. I could add a little more of this, like this purple, but I want to add some little centers to these delphiniums just so they're not looking so blobby, I guess. We can take that same blue and violet mixture, maybe more on the violet side this time, and you can just kind of add some little centers, just dab in a little bit of that darker violet just to give those a little more detail. And then maybe we can just add a few little dabs of some of this violet in throughout here. These could be like little teeny flowers poking through. All right, so now I've got this very stark white background. I want to add just a little bit more, maybe some paint splatters or something. They'll fill this in and it won't be so stark white in the background because I didn't do a fuzzy background of grass in the distance or something. So I'm basically just going to take all the colors that I used in my painting and with a wet brush, just kind of tap those colors in there. Now remember, when you're splattering paint, if you have things on your desk that you don't want to get paint all over them, like your phone or other paintings that you might have drying, make sure you cover those up, flip them over. The more water you have on your brush, the bigger splatters you're going to get too, so keep that in mind. And I'm just going across the entire thing. If you don't want it across your flowers, you can lay your paper towel across it. That will prevent the splatters from going where you don't want them. Get some of that violet. And we'll do some green. All right, there is a fun and pretty quick little field of wildflowers you can do, and you can really mix up the colors to customize it to however you want. If you don't like the color palette I did or the types of flowers, go ahead and just choose any flowers you want. I think having one particular flower that is more detailed adds a little bit more to it, and then you can have all the rest be really, really loose style. But otherwise, just pick the colors that you like and would match your decor and have fun with it. It's a really quick and easy painting to try out.